In our first video, we spoke about brokenness. Brokenness being a part of each and every one of us. And as much as my experience over the years is working with women more, these principles that we talk about actually apply to anybody. So if there's men out there who would like to listen to this, it applies. These are universal principles that apply. In the second video, I want to share a little bit more of my life with you so that as we go forward in talking about the more excellent way in everything we do in life, and that's going to include life itself, children, parents, you name it. Business is absolutely something that I'm so passionate about. And these are all things we are going to talk about in the more excellent way as we move forward. But I just want to expand a little bit on what I've said in the first video of brokenness, because it's important to understand when you talk about brokenness, it's not something that you read in a book. It's real. It's life. It happens. It happens. Brokenness is part of each one of us with no exclusion in some or other way. So let me share a little bit more about me, and we're going to move away from me very soon, but I want you to understand that when I speak about the subject, it's not because I've read about it in a book. It's because I know. I have been on this journey for almost close to 57 years. So I understand the journey, and as much as I still have to learn, I would like to share the ones that I know can make a change and a difference in somebody else's life. So if we go back to where I come from, I've done business in Malaysia, where a medical product was designed and we launched it in Africa and it worked. And that's another story which we will discuss when we get to business and ethical business and all of that. In the UK, I've worked in Canada, still do, Africa, Hawaii, Bahrain, Middle East. Business took me everywhere, and it was just a journey that was far and wide. As far as ministry is concerned, I've been in the ministry at the age of 6, already traveling with my parents and my grandparents, spreading the gospel to nations. We were not just established in one place. We spread the gospel around nations. So one thing I do understand is culture and nations and diversity and pluralism. I understand all of that. So I have spoken on radios, I've hosted programs for many years. As a fundraiser, been part of different organizations, and I think all inclusive raised probably over $10 million for different ministries. I administered 2 of my own businesses, importing this medical device from Malaysia, branding, distributing, did residential developments, investments, buying property, selling property, made money, lost money. And on Sundays, different pulpits, different times, preaching the good news of the gospel, playing either the piano or the organ or piano accordion or whatever the requirement was for that day. And at the same time, I was raising our 2 sons, John and Divan, keeping my family intact in the midst of our own brokenness. I held my parents close as well, supported them as we all together raised also my younger brother. Why am I telling you this? I'm sharing this with you because life in its essence is about normality, and normality means brokenness. People have this mind that life should be heaven on earth. We're not in heaven. This is life. This is earth. And we are going to get into that more and more. During all these years, my experiences accumulated into millions of thoughts and ideas and relationships. Of course, we meet people all the time. I encountered deep and dark pain in my own relationships, while I was privileged to raise probably the most 2 fantastic sons in the world. You know, every mother, their children are more than perfect in her own eyes. But I make sure that every day of my life, my children know that we love them. We love our grandchildren. My daughter-in-law, married to our eldest son, Kirsty, she's a star, a beauty in her own right. In fact, I think she can easily reach the front page of any beauty magazine. The way she loves and raises our 3 grandchildren, it's just amazing. They give us so much pleasure. When they spend weekends and holidays with Nico and me, we enjoy every minute of experiential participation in the development of our grandchildren's character. And when I look into their eyes, embracing their little faces, I know there is a God Almighty who does nothing in our lives without a long-term plan of his own, which according to his awesome character and deity can only be good. That's his promise. He promised, he says, the plans I have for you is good. Our daughter-in-law to be very soon, Legendre, she's to me a Spanish looking beautiful. She's an Afrikaans lady. That head of hers screwed on so perfectly that it's actually unfair that so much wisdom and intelligence can come from such a young woman. She holds a BSc degree, heads up a division of Distel in Cape Town, South Africa. She's a business and corporate force in her own right. Why am I sharing this with you? Everything that I just shared with you, everything. How does all of this happen? How does it happen? And why does it happen? Why do I have a story to tell you today? You know why? It's called life. Full-blown life. The life which the Bible referred to as the world we are in, but not from. I really do watch the news globally and nationally and locally, and there's just one message pounding, coming across. The world is in a big mess. That is the truth. The world is confused. The world is broken, and you and I know that that is true. Is it not wonderful when we sit back for a moment and we think that actually we are not from this cosmic system? Neither are we going to be here on Earth for more than pretty much, I guess, 80 to 100 Christmases. You ever thought about that? You might have between 80 and 100 Christmases with the ones you love, with the people God places in your life, whether it be in your own family, whether it be somebody else. I actually love it when people fuss about race. I've been asked a lot of times what's my opinion about race and black and white and Asian and brown and all these color things. I just laugh. You know why? I have an origin and a final destiny that is accumulatively, and it cannot be compared with this very sick, broken world we're living in. You see, I'm not black or white, or brown, or pink, or yellow, or orange. I have an origin and a final destiny. And you know where that is, right? I come from heaven and I'm going back right there. And we'll talk about that more as we continue in the series that we are going to do. However, for a designated time, 80 to 100 years, we all have a function in this world cosmic system we're living in. We all have to stay here. Think about it this way. If you were told to go and live on Mars for the next 10 years, some of you might find it very exciting. Some of you might find it strange. Some of you may say, yeah, it's going to be such an awesome experience. And some of you say, are you nuts? Me living on Mars for 10 years? Oh, no, not me. No. Right? That will probably be me. So how about if you are healthy, you will live 80 years on earth. And if you're really healthy, you might sneak into like the great 90s, or a few of us have the privilege to just pass the 100 years mark. This is when all of this thing called life, this concept that you and I experience on a day-to-day, that's when it makes sense, into eternity. But let me tell you one thing today. Let me remind you, as long as you and I are going to be here on this earth, we will have to live with the brokenness it brings. It's going to bring brokenness. This is not heaven. Stop thinking that your life is so miserable that it's not worth living. And I forgot to put the phone down. That's part of life. So we're just going to continue, let it ring. There is a more excellent way. I should have put the phone off. But again, that's called life. Stop thinking that your life is not worth living. There is a more excellent way. And in the next few videos, we're going to talk about that. I do not want to exceed more than 10 minutes on each video, because I do not want you to, I want you to grasp the concept as we move forward. And we have a number of series we're going to present to you. And I'm not going to be the only one speaking all the time either. So I'm just setting you at a place where we can start talking about life. Because here is how I want to close today. I don't have 7 principles or 9 keys or 12 lines or 5 keys or 10 more principles. Life is way bigger than a few principles. There's not 5 keys or 10 principles or 15. All of that inclusive may form some sort of guideline as to life. But I think it's time that we say to each other, life is real. It's reality, and we need to talk about these real things. How do we apply whatever it is that's going to take us to the next level, where we will be able to live life the more excellent way? I'll see you in the next video.